And we are back. I'm meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community, and we have our expert financier, Tracy Lipnicki. Did you like that one? Financier.
Yeah, I do. I like it.
Tracy Lipnicki is here, and she is from the Lipnicki Agency. And we just found out, unfortunately, that one of her agencies that she works with and for is based in Nashville. And unfortunately, they barely.
Asheville,
Oh,
North
Asheville.
Carolina.
Oh, right, North
Yeah.
Carolina. I'm sorry that I said Nashville because I know it went through Tennessee. So I feel like, tell us about it. Like, how do you personally? I remember one of the episodes you were telling us about how weather impacts your emotions. I mean, that's obvious. Some people
Mhm.
might say, "Great, that's Captain Obvious," but like, how do you
Yeah.
feel as being this finance person who understands these numbers and sees these numbers coming in?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're huge, to be honest. And the fact that I know so many people that were impacted, I mean, thank goodness no one that I know was, you know, y- hurt or injured or, died in this tragedy. But there's a lot of people that are homeless
A
and,
lot. I mean, they're like in an island. Like they're like in an island left to themselves. And one of the things I said, I when I was tracking this, Tracy, I I knew Helene was different. You can just see it. I tracked Superstorm Sandy, and
Mhm.
that was like really one of the ones that taught me a lot. And because it
Right.
was an anomaly. But I saw, and one of the things I did as an assignment with our viewers was we didn't look at the landfall location because the distance between Florida and like Georgia is it's so short. It's like such a small distance. It was like
Right.
58, 59, 60 miles. And then never mind that to the next state line to North Carolina, South Carolina. Then it did take a turn into the Tennessee Valley, right? So I
Mhm.
feel like I thought there were some errors in my personal opinion. But again, here working in Southern California, tracking Helene, we focused on Georgia north and northwestward.
Right.
So, how did you feel like when you saw this impacting you and you're like looking at this and you're in Asheville, you get the information back? Are you just like, do you feel like it's more personal at that point?
I mean, it is because it's people right? And so, this week when we were talking to them and they're talking about, pretty much that to pack themselves into cars and get out and then to go back and see that everything's gone. Like our CEO is driving around in a fork truck, trying to take people so help give supplies and water and people I know even in Georgia, I only was able to speak to them, by text message because they were able to get to go to a place that where they could charge their phones for for an hour at a time, right? And
Oh,
because there's no power, right? So they had to drive somewhere an hour to charge their phones for an hour to even be able to communicate and let people know that they were okay. So it's pretty devastating and most people have had to leave and a lot of people's houses just office buildings as well. So a lot of people's livelihoods, businesses are just completely gone and they're going to have to rebuild from scratch.
and what are your thoughts about that $750 thing? What are be nice, but what are your thoughts about that? Because I mean, it's so what can you do with that? I mean, is it from your perspective, is it kind of like, I mean, you're an expert, maybe to somebody like me, I could like, I'll just think of it short term. I'm not,
It
I'll
is.
think maybe short term. You're like, no, it's a long-term situation. I might think like, oh, I can get like water and milk and like
Yeah.
crackers, right? Or something. What's your feeling about like that? That's an odd amount. I mean, I understand that's what the government's giving, but what are your
Well, it's
thoughts?
temporary. It's temporary, right?
Mhm.
And it's really just designed to help people, buy gas so they can go somewhere else or,
Fair. That's fair.
buy food to get somewhere else or, buy a battery or a generator or, things that it's temporary, right? Because
Yeah.
insurance will kick in, the loans that they're giving to businesses will kick in. It's just that in order to get you over that hump and kind of just have you survive until you can get the real help, it's is what it's for. So I'm not
Now,
sure how exactly they came up with that number, but
I was like, that's just like, okay. We're gonna divvy it up. It was an odd number, and I thought, well, I mean, I know how I would use it, but I'm also not an investment banker. I don't know that world of like long-term investments except like a house or something. Like that's a long-term investment for me. But
Right.
I feel like when is that so in light of the fact that a lot of these businesses are going to need to get their loans and a lot of these houses are going to need to get repaired and insurance agencies like what happens to premiums and what happens to like is everybody impacted across the globe? Is it only in the United States? Like I'm in Southern California. Are my premiums going to go up because of what happened in Florida and in Georgia and in the Carolinas? How does that
Yes,
work?
I think yes, I think of insurance like it's kind of almost like retirement funds as well, right? Basically, it's everybody putting into a pool to spread the risk. And the insurance companies have what's called actuarial tables where they kind of crunch all the numbers together and work out what are the chances of things happening in certain locations. And so, it does cost more to insure your home in Florida than it does in California, 100%. But at the same time, the insurance companies have to make money, right? They can't make losses, otherwise they go out of business and then we don't have insurance anymore. So, they have to crunch all the numbers in order to make that whole. And yes, they reinsure, and generally when they reinsure, they're reinsuring with insurance companies that are internationally, right, to help spread that risk further. They reinsure with each other around
Interesting.
the globe. So yes, this will definitely have an impact on insurance prices, insurance rates in that local area. It will also have an impact in all across the US, but it will also have an impact internationally as well. Not as
Hmm.
much, right? But it will a little bit, just depending on how much of that risk was spread internationally as well.
Wow, that's so much information, so much to take in, and I think I'm so grateful that you had time to hop on. Thank you so much, Tracy, for hopping on a Friday, Saturday, I'm really grateful because I think a lot of people want to know how is that going to impact me here in like Southern California? What's going to happen? Well, I mean, we're all in this together, so I this is really
Right.
important information. But you're just generally you're like you still got to get a really good insurance, right? That's kind of at the end of the day. Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. Once again, guys, this is Tracy Lipnicki with the Lipnicki Agency, and she's giving us all the information we need to know when it comes to the impact of hurricanes Helene and Milton, and how that's intertwined with the financial system, and how that's actually intertwined with our way of living. And so, right now, we're just talking about how we all might see a little bit of a change, right? In the insurance
Yeah.
coverage.
Well,
Wow.
not even just insurance, right? But property as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
everything really it is going to have an inflationary impact on most things, right? Because there was a lot of damage across supplies. Like, think
Mhm,
of how many things come from that area of the country, right? So
mhm.
there's corn, there's oranges, there's oil for some, in some of those locations as well. So there's a lot of things that are manufactured, like, cars are produced as well. Like, there's so many things that are manufactured or grown or produced across
Mhm.
that whole southeastern region that is going to push prices up. For there's so many businesses there, everything is going to have an impact.
That's interesting. So yeah, so when I go to get my oranges, well, I'm in California, but when I go to get, if I see my Florida oranges, I have to let my family know. It's just that's going to be the impact on commodities and
Hmm.
essentially futures, right?
Yeah, that's right. Future orange juice futures you should have bought before the hurricane. um
You guys, this is gonna be like a whole okay. This is where I find it fascinating. It's like what to invest in before the storms. So, like right now, we're
right.
watching all those snows, like that massive storm system moving
Hmm.
through, bringing snow into the Four Corners region, up through it was up across the Central Plains, Northern Plains, and now we're seeing wow, good snow across the Rockies as well, and red flag warnings. So for us, it's like it's really different, right? And you're kind of like, how would
Right.
I invest moving forward? What would you invest in? If you were like, I'm going to invest in something because I see the weather's a little bit dynamic right now. For example, we can see on this side of the country,
Right.
we can see Here we have snow,
Insurance
right? We have
companies.
a winter storm warning. We have our freeze warning. This looks like our
Yeah.
red flag warning or fire weather. And we also have air quality issues.
Yeah, so
So what
I would invest in companies that do the cleanup, right? So companies that do like building reconstruction, repairs. There are companies that do freeze. Actually, there's quite a few companies that do freeze repairs, right, and plumbing repairs after freeze breaks.
right. And those are
So there was
big, right? I've been talking about those for days. People sometimes, especially like after the summer season, they're just like la di da, and then they just like pipes burst.
right. Yeah,
This is like plumber's season.
it is.
If you're a
And
plumber,
it's not that Yeah, and not everybody, like not all regular plumbing companies can do that either. So they're pretty specialty skills that are required to be able to repair those too.
oh my gosh, this is brilliant. So I think I will end that on that note. We're talking about the colder weather that's coming in to portions of the nation, really into it was the Great Basin region, Intermountain West, Pacific Northwest, now in across the Four Corners. But we also have that Santa Ana wind event happening and impacting us here across Southern California. As you can see here, it's pretty extensive. So that's what we're going to be watching. But I do love that Tracy's kind of keeping us in the loop as to a look ahead. Like her job, guys, I want to make sure I emphasize this. It's a lot. She forecasts, right? So I forecast in weather, she forecasts in finance, right? And that's kind of the way we would put it, right? And give you like
Yeah.
tips and advice. So if you want some great tips and advice, you really should reach out to Tracy. And we're going to include all of her information so that you guys can reach out to her. And how can they reach out to you? Talk to me.
Yeah, so they can find me on my website. It's called the livnickyagency.com. That's probably the easiest way to find me. I have like a little messenger chat bot down there, and you can submit a form and we can talk on the phone. Actually, I think my number's on there too.
Perfect. So that's going to be the easiest way. And I really advise that because I think that's going to be a really wonderful opportunity for you guys to just kind of not be so afraid of the weather and just work with the weather and maybe ahead of the storm. Ooh, I feel like that's a really, that's like a cheesy line everybody's used. Get ahead of the storm. So I've heard that one before. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tracy. And thank you all so much for joining us here at Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday evening, Saturday in Australia, but you will be here in the United States. And once again, you can always reach out to Tracy Lipnicki and ask her any questions. She's available and she's really great at what she does. Tracy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erica.
Bye.